Holy balls, we're making another episode of this shit show. Welcome back to World 111 Podcast. Before we dig into the meat and taters, you can and should find us at all the places that you find wonderful podcasts that somehow allowed us to slide in under the radar, trash that we are. There's our wonderful home at Podbean. That's podbean.world11podcast. World11 podcast.podbean, all spelled out, all one word. YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's probably a few others. Basically, any place you find podcasts, we're around. Beyond that, let's jump in because I am, as always, your host, Larry the Bearded Wonder. Joining me this wonderful evening are all my friends, or at least a majority of them. We have 5 of 7 of the crew, which is more than we've had in a long fucking time, actually. So with us, back from the land of retail dead somehow or another, we have Eddie the Chocolate Thunder from Down Under with Wonder V.
It's good to be professionally unprofessional with you guys.
Been listening to old stuff, and it just brought out that deep cut. So,
exactly.
Yep. Josh the LeGroux.
Yo.
I'm going to call you Shipping Delay.
Yeah, I know. You can do
Lost
that.
in transit.
It's actually on its way to you, though.
I know. A tracking number exists.
Yep. Should be there at Monday or Tuesday.
I don't know where mine is at, so I'll just okay.
No, I know.
Right.
I've got a package for you, Eddie, but it's delayed.
So, Michael Grumpy Pants Brown.
Yep.
And Zoe Sunshine Consuela.
No, not Consuela.
Sorry, it was right on my screen. It was just, I'm reading.
I know, I haven't changed it yet.
I know,
It's
I'm
okay.
reading.
You're good. But thank you for calling me Sunshine. I'll take it.
There you go. So, all right, let's dig in and get this shit show rolling with, oh my God, video games. Michael, what have you been playing in your 1 hour of personal time a week?
I honestly nothing. I've been playing. I've been just catching up on shows. I'm following The Watch, which is a BBC America show based very loosely on a Terry Pratchett Discworld novel series. But what they did is they took it from the Discworld and they literally just kind of dipped it in punk rock. And
Okay.
I love the aesthetic. The music is fantastic. It's still fantasy based, so there's magic and dragons and shit like that. But they've also changed some major aspects of the story, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about them. And it's for instance, one of the characters they changed in the book is a female dwarf who is one of the few dwarves that insist on telling everybody she's a woman. Because dwarves in that world all basically identify as male, whether they're male or female.
Right.
And in the show, for some strange reason, she's a transhuman. And it doesn't make any sense why they would have changed this. I still like what they're doing with the character. It's just not the character it's supposed to be.
You sound like you're waiting to find out if there's a point to this or if they just did it to do it.
At this point, it almost feels like it's intentionally an alternate reality version of it. But a lot of the actors they got, I really enjoy. They killed off a major character from the books pretty much within the second episode.
Ooh.
But it's a good show. I'm just curious to see if there's like you said, if there's a point to the altercations.
Right.
Alterations? Yeah, there we go.
Alterations.
Otherwise, I loaded up the Phoenix Rising DLC, but really haven't messed with it. Just haven't had time.
Sad face.
Yeah, a little bit. Because unfortunately, it seems like this is literally just a bunch of challenges. Whereas they kind of took away the open world aspect of it. but there is a story to it. So I actually am really enjoying what little I've messed with it.
So this is
Sure.
kind of like the challenge room stack from Breath of the Wild.
Kinda.
Okay.
What this is, like, this is a minor spoiler, but the main character finds out that she's part deity. And these challenges are challenges from the other deities to find out whether or not she's worthy of joining the pantheon.
Okay.
So she's like a demigod, basically.
Yeah. So there's,
Basically, it's Rush Week at the Pantheon.
yeah, pretty much.
Right.
But like, one of the first things you get is a new item, a new suit of armor that allows you to jump again. So you have a triple jump now, which is like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm all about this. As I said, it's still a fantastic game. I just haven't had time to play with it yet.
Can I just stop for a second and mention that I love the fact that your favorite thing in like any video game ever
Triple
is a triple jump?
Yes.
I was just gonna say that. I think
I
I
don't know,
remember
that makes
Michael
me
told
kinda
me
happy
that.
inside.
Yeah, like
I don't
anything.
know why. Like, I've
He
always
wants
enjoyed-
triple jump, or
Yeah.
he wants a triple jump.
Fuck
The
yeah.
fastest way to
What's it
get
called,
the triple jump.
Did you ever play the Peacekeepers?
Uh-uh.
Or like it was old walkthrough beat 'em up style games
Yeah,
way back when on Super Nintendo.
it's on Switch
Yeah.
Online.
Is it?
Huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
they were fantastic games. And there was a character in I don't think it was the Peacekeepers. I think it was the Brawl Brothers, the one before it. That one of the characters had a triple jump. So no matter what, he was the only character I'd play. Like, and there was no reason for him to have a triple jump because there was no platforming in the game whatsoever. But I needed it.
I kind of love everything about that fact.
Yes.
So it's the little thing some days.
It really is. But I've been toying with the idea of starting up Miles Morales, but
Ooh.
I know that's going to be a time sink, and I just don't have it right now.
It's only about 6.5 hours. Not
It's
that
6.5
bad.
hours, but after I get home from a 10-hour
Right.
day,
No, I hear you.
like I don't want to sink a couple hours into that when
Right.
I've got all this other bullshit I got to do, and
Yeah. Welcome to adulthood. You know.
I don't like it. I would like to return it and exchange it for something else.
Yeah. Free trial's over, right?
Yeah, fuck all that rot. I'm done.
Your subscription is non-cancelable.
Yep.
Fuck. I'm gonna fake my own death to get out of it.
Been over the 14-day return policy window. I'm sorry.
Right.
I need to hire a Karen to help me bitch out to get me out.
Wow,
Oh, God.
wow.
Michael, I'm just curious, by the way, because I think you're probably the only other person on here that cares about as much as I do. Have you gotten to crack the new Dead Cells DLC yet?
I have not. I have bought it. But
Okay.
I completely forgot that I bought it.
All right. I bought it. I have not forgotten I've bought it, but I haven't gotten to crack the new DLC yet.
Yeah.
But I really want like an animated Dead Cells series. I want them to take the shorts
Yes.
and make me like full episodes.
You
I
know,
want them
I
to
don't
continue
think
to
it
have
would
no
work-
dialogue or anything.
I
Just
don't think it
that.
would work in full episode format. I think the little 2-minute, trailers like that is perfect. I think any more than that, and you're just kind of taking away what's making it great.
You're
it-
probably right, but at some
it's-
point
It'd be like-
there's
it'd
going to be
like
enough
what
of
they did
them.
with Aeon Flux way back when. The moment
Yeah.
they gave her a voice, it ruined the shit out of it.
Yeah. To that end, though, at some point there will be enough of them that I want them available on a DVD or a Blu-ray.
I could probably make that happen, actually.
Like, I want a nice produced, like, official one that I can
Okay,
throw
yeah, I can't do
throw
that.
some dollars at because they deserve some love for that. Those are fantastic.
Ugh.
And LeGrew, if you haven't shown your wife those, you should. She'd probably love the shit out of those. I'm just saying.
Yeah, probably
So,
would.
but Eddie, fuck have you been playing?
So
Short version.
So for Xbox One, I finished Tell Me Why. I finished all three. Really good game. It has some problems, like it kind of loses its way when it gets to like the third act, but it's a good story. You kind of find out what happens to the mother, and like part of the story and some of the characters and everything. But it was really good. I really did enjoy it. I just finished Final Fantasy VII remake.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize today's the 24th anniversary of this recording.
How do you feel about the ending to it?
I feel like they're about to change it. I feel like what they really about to do is kind of go in a different route, saying, what if this what if this was added on, even though this is still going to be happening, like adding extra elements.
Mhm.
I didn't have too much a problem with the ending. I really feel like some of the stuff was a lot of pandering. Like,
Is it just me, or does it seem like certain characters are aware that something has been altered?
if anything that's been altered would have been Aerith. She's the only one that's probably know that stuff is being
Well,
altered.
I think her and Sephiroth are both aware that something is different.
Right.
Yeah, Sephiroth, yes, and maybe Red 13.
Yeah.
Might know something.
Which
Like
I
Barrett.
really like the portrayal of him in it. Like,
Yeah.
I like what they did with him.
Barrett,
Now, bear in mind, I've never finished the original game.
Mhm.
I've managed to play it up to the point where you leave Midgard, and then like I always lost interest for some reason or another. I've never finished the original version.
once they leave Midgar, a lot of that stuff is kind of like the rest of the story with dealing with Cloud and like his like mental state and everything.
Right.
They did add a lot of new elements to this, and they already added some stuff where you don't do in a normal game. Like a whole section of it is like brand new to pretty much to the game, the old game stuff. No, not that. It's an actual ghost area that you got to get through. Yeah, that was never in the original one. It was.
Because the Ghost Train area was in the original one, wasn't it?
No,
I think in 6.
No, that's Final Fantasy 6. Because you get the slam, not slam dunk. You get the suplex, train, the ghost train. So that's Final Fantasy 6 /3.
There was a ghost area, like a train graveyard.
Nope, not in Final Fantasy 7.
Huh.
Because when you meet Aerith or Aeris, in the regular Final Fantasy 7 game, you guys get to the wall market, and then when you get to the wall market, you get to you got to get Cloud dressed up and meet Cornello and stuff like that, and then it goes on from there because you get back to Sector 7 after you get Tifa and everything. So they skipped a whole bunch of stuff. But then like this new one, they added so many elements, and they already changed it by adding characters that would never end Final Fantasy VII. So they're adding more to make the experience bigger, while still doing their best to tell like the main thing of Final Fantasy VII. I didn't have a problem with the ending or anything. But I did feel like that some of the stuff where I said pandering, it's just like you added too much to get to the point that you was trying to make that I really didn't need, so stuff started feeling like it was being dragged out and stuff. But it's a good game. I spent 50 hours with it, so I think I'm gonna go back and do it on easy, and try to collect stuff that I missed or anything. But other than that, it's a good game. Playing Yakuza Like a Dragon for PS4.
How do you like that?
Is there any other way to play it?
On PS5 and Xbox One.
But no matter where you play it, aren't you playing it like a dragon?
No. I'm
just trying to make a joke that went nowhere.
Yeah. He fails. He fails a lot. Get it.
I don't care. I was still gonna make it anyways. I don't give a shit. It made me happy. Fuck all the rest of y'all.
Of course, because it's coming from you. It's a really good game. It's really funny. I kind of like the combat system that it has this Dragon Quest kind of beat 'em up style to it. It's not. It don't look that hard to get into. You can still grind into it and get powerful. But I'm like kind of enjoying it. and stuff. So that's kind of my next game. I bought Until Dawn, so that's going to be for next month. For it, yeah. And for Switch, playing Cyber Shadow. Really enjoying that. That is, to me, it is Konami's version of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I picked it up. I haven't cracked it open yet, but everything about it says I need to get there.
Is that the one that's made by the people who did Shovel Knight?
Published by, yes.
Okay.
Published by
Yacht Club published.
It was developed by somebody else. The game looks like a Konami game, like from the Double Dribble days.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling the music. You might disagree with me, Larry.
Oh, now I need to know. Now I need to play this.
Every time I'm playing this game, I feel like the music needs to be Batman from Sunsoft on the NES.
All right, how'd you feel about the music in The Messenger?
Didn't really care for it.
All right, now I know to just disregard your opinion on this subject then.
No, because the thing about it is like the Messenger was good, but it's just like when I got to the 16-bit graphics and heard the sound of it, it kind of felt distorted. It felt too clean of the sound than the 8-bit thing, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling this here and there. I think sometimes when you got a big action game like The Messenger and Cyber Shadow, you kind of want an 8-bit rocky soundtrack. And the reason why I say Batman from Sunsoft is that's like the energy with the music and all the action that's going on fits everything. And some of the stuff is not fitting a game like this. So, but yeah, that's what I'm playing. Last but not least, I'm doing Ni no Kuni also on Switch. I had it on PS3, but I didn't get far. But I'm enjoying it on Switch. It's a good place to play.
Is that
it
the
remaster?
That's the remastered one, right?
I think so.
I guess it's the re-release. Of Ni no Kuni. Dragon Quest XI is the remaster. Well, not remaster.
Right. I know what you're saying.
That's the definitive. Yeah. And then that Monster Hunter Rise demo, I got some in today. I'll just record it before, I can't play it anymore, like multiplayer and stuff. And really enjoying it. Really like. I already pre-ordered the deluxe version, so I just gotta go to the store and pick it up when it comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I'm playing. And last but not least, I do want to jump into Doom Eternal also. That's my next game for Xbox One.
Okay. LeGrew, what have you been playing?
Okay, so I've been playing the medium.
Time's up.
Yeah, no kidding. I've been playing the medium. I've been playing Cyber Shadow. I don't know if you guys have dabbled in that yet or not.
I haven't. Like I said, I bought it. I haven't started it, but I did buy it while it was still like pre-sale discount.
I liked it. I like it because it is that old school platformer, kind of like Castlevania-ish. It has when you get hit, you actually fall backwards a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool. The medium, I just started. I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours in. Really, really liking it.
Good.
Other than that, that's kind of it.
Okay.
The short version.
Right. That timer wasn't kidding. So, Zoe, have you gotten to crack into anything?
No.
I couldn't remember if you had or hadn't. I haven't been home the entire time, so I didn't know if you'd gotten to dink with anything. Oh, I know one you've been playing that I don't think we've gotten to talk about on here, though.
Yeah. What?
Circle Game.
Oh, yeah. So there's this game called Journey of, I can't remember if it's A Broken Circle or The Broken Circle. But basically you play this circle that's got like a piece missing, and he's rolling fairly okay, but not as smooth as a whole circle. So you spend the game trying to find different pieces to fit in the circle. And one makes you stick to stuff, one lets you fly, one lets you go really fast. And so there's different abilities with them, but this whole game is a metaphor for relationships.
What's
Like
it called again?
Journey of a Broken Circle or Journey of the Broken Circle.
It's like $3.
Yeah, it's super cheap. I was like, this looks pretty simple. And you're just you literally yeah, it's on the Switch. You literally are just pushing the forward button and a jump button. That is it for your controls. And it's actually a pretty decent game. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of metaphorical stuff that's in there. Like one person, one little piece that you get, he's really sulky. He's the one that I don't really want to spoil everything, but there's a piece that's like really sulky, and the circle's like, yeah, let's keep moving, and the piece is like, no, but I want to stay, meh. And so they part because one was bringing the other down, and then he got with another piece, and they were doing pretty well together, and he's like, yeah, I'm finally free, but the piece he got was like, well, is this really freedom? I can only do this with you. Like, we're very codependent, and I was like, fuck, like, I didn't even get this game knowing that it went this deep into like relationship type stuff, like attachments. They meet this one character that as soon as you like roll and meet them, it's not even like one of the pieces for the circle, but it's just a character, and it's like, hey, I love you, let's stay together forever. And they're like, whoa, like, I don't even know you. And then they, you try to go away, and it's like, no, please come back, my world is gonna end. And I'm like, but every time the circle's alone, there's like this dark cloud thing that follows him, like, you're worthless and no one ever is gonna want you. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this game is way too metaphorical for the simplicity of this game. Like, if you're looking for something with simple play but like deep message, it's kind of spot on. I thoroughly like this game.
Added to wish list. It's like $8 right now. So
yeah,
it's
keep
not
an
a
eye
bad
on
buy.
it. Keep an eye on it. It was just on sale for like $3, so it'll more than likely go back on sale soon, or at some point in the nearish future.
It's a game I haven't been playing, but I'm anxious to play. Is the game that Larry actually got me. I'm a huge, huge, huge Steven Universe fan. Like, if anyone was like, hey, I haven't seen that, I'm like, let's sit down and rewatch it. I think I have started it with people 4 or 5 times. If that tells you how much I love this show, I give no fucks about rewatching it. So, plug there for Steven Universe, But there was a game, I don't know how I fucking missed that there was a game for this series, but somewhere in there's a game called Steven Universe Save the Light, and he happened to hear about it on one of the podcasts he was listening to, and he was like, hey, here's a surprise gift for you. And I saw it, and I'm just like, this looks really cool. You can play as different like characters in the game, and it's not like you're playing through a story that's already happened in the show. It's its own story. So I'm really anxious to play that game. It came while I was not home, so now that I'm back home, it's on my list, and I'm gonna hit that game up.
Now, didn't you say too when you were looking that it's actually listed as like canon to the series story as well?
Yeah, it's in between the end of Steven Universe and prior to the Steven Universe movie.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten to older Steven yet. Because I looked up, and it was by happenstance too, because I looked up like how old Steven was and other characters, and then it said Steven Universe at 15, and I was like, when the hell was he 15? And it's in that game. It's technically that middle year that we don't get to see.
Okay. I also saw too, and I told her, which made her rather excited, that they actually got all the voice actors from the show to reprise their roles for the game, so it wasn't like a haphazard, this is what we can manage and kind of thing, but like they actually all got back together to do the work for the game as well and put the love into it, which I thought was pretty cool.
So, if any of you are Steven Universe fans, one, if you're not and haven't watched it, you should. It's awesome. But if you are fans and didn't know this game existed, there you go.
So, what have I been playing? Mostly Downwell. Downwell has soaked up most of my gaming time because I can play it in like 5-minute shots and put it back down again. I did crack open Ida. I'm currently wrestling with the second combat encounter. It's kind of like it's a twin stick shooter boss rush game with a story that happens in between fights. And the whole story seems to kind of be about like this weird runic garden, afterlife purgatory thing. And everyone seems incredibly determined to not be fucking helpful and tell you what you want to know. I have yet to see any good reason for anyone not to just give you a fucking explanation of what the hell's happening other than to drag it out, which they seem happy to do. But that's honestly really my only frustration with this, is that the characters that you encounter start giving you maybe like the beginning of an explanation of what the fuck's happening, but then they're like, I'm too busy to fucking tell this to you. And then the dialogue stops, but they still just stand there. I'm like, well, we're still here. I got time. You got some time, apparently. How about maybe you fill in the rest of the blank, dick? But other than that, I mean, it's fun. It's a solid challenge thus far. I'm enjoying it. It's pretty. It's got a very like muted, cool tone, color palette, pastel, lo-fi pixel art to it. But no, it plays smooth. It does appear that the mechanics get a little bit deeper than what you start with, which was kind of a concern for me. Was like, even if it didn't, I'd still be okay with it. But it does look like it starts to kind of open up as you go along a little bit. Like you're going to start to get some more weapons that you can use. So it's not just like twin stick shooter, but it looks like I've got the blueprint for at least a melee weapon. And there does seem to be like a weapon wheel that has probably about a dozen slots on it. So there's more coming. So, but I like what's there so far. It's fun. It's good. It's pretty. It's up my alley. I just need to play more of it. I swear there was something else. No, maybe that was it. I did pick up the Dead Cells DLC, but haven't started it yet. Part of me is almost afraid of going back to Dead Cells the way I'm kind of afraid of going back to Slay the Spire again. But on the other hand, Downwell's kind of turning into that for me already anyways. But Downwell is quicker to get in and out of, so I feel a little less bad about it. So if that counts for anything. I should go back to Dead Cells though. I feel like I need something to kind of de-rust my action platformer fingers. So, other than that, actually I've been talking with one of the housemates about getting back into Borderlands, and I almost picked up the Handsome Collection at Walmart yesterday for $15, but I put it back down because, much to my dismay, I discovered the Handsome Collection doesn't have the first Borderlands in it. I'm like, no. The fuck? Why?
It's Borderlands.
It's Borderlands
2 and the pre-sequel.
And the pre-sequel,
yeah. I'm like, why is the first one not on here? This is horseshit.
Because that one was already out. And once he announced Borderlands 3, he mentioned that Borderlands 1 was going to be re-released. So they did it digitally. So
It's irritating. So, but I'm kind of
Pitchford. That's it.
yeah, I've kind of got an itch to go back and play the first Borderlands again because now I have like one or two people that I could actually play through it with, which makes it way more fun.
Right.
Did you beat
So-
it?
Yeah. I beat it and I got through, I think, like half to 2/3 of the DLC. Like, I know I finished the zombie DLC and I think I got most of the way through the fuck was the other DLC pack? Was it the Sarge's something or other? Or I don't remember the name of it.
I would
but-
have to. I think I have it on PlayStation. I would have to look it up what it was.
But yeah. But yeah, I played a good hunk of the DLC after I finished the main campaign as well, so. But I think that's what I've been playing, and honestly, I'm kind of excited to sit and watch Zoe play the Steven Universe game, because to give you an idea of what it looks like gameplay-wise, it has a kind of action RPG look to it in the vein of South Park Stick of Truth. So I saw it, I'm like, all right, this kind of piques my interest, because Stick of Truth was hella good. So, but that's oh, on a related note, by the way, she's absolutely right. You should go watch Steven Universe, and Hulu has a good hunk of it, but HBO Max has all of it.
Okay.
So, so you don't have to shuffle around for it. HBO Max is the way to go for that, because they've got Hulu stops at season 4 of Steven Universe. HBO's got seasons 1 through 5, the movie and Future, which is what I'm currently in the middle of with Zoe is Future.
Nice.
So, but we actually just picked up an HBO Max subscription, and I'm thoroughly enjoying a lot of the content on there. Like, it's got a couple of my favorite shows. It has the brand new remasters of Babylon 5.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The HD remasters, right?
Yep. That's on there. All of Doctor Who's on there, including Torchwood and Sarah Jane. I need to find out if they have Class, because I never got around to watching Class. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's on there too. Yeah, boy. And the
Really?
Boondocks. Yeah. So Zoe and I watched almost the entire first season of Boondocks today.
Oh wow.
So.
Well, that's the one with the R. Kelly court case.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. That was like the second episode on season 1. I see Pete coming. I get out the way. She saw Pete coming. She stayed. So, but yeah. Yeah, I think that's most of what I've been playing. I've had an itch to get into my DS as well, which again spurred my thought of, Tate mode plus flip grip equals DS games on Switch. So that's me. Michael, you weren't here for that conversation, were you?
No.
Oh, this is brilliant. You'd love this, dude. So it occurred to me earlier today that there's no good reason not to have DS games on the Switch. You just make it so that it's handheld only. And when you boot it up, it automatically goes into Tate mode so that, it stretches out long ways across, and they just, partner with the guys that make the flip grip and put them on store shelves for the DS games. Be perfect. So you're basically just playing it like this. One frame on top of the other. The button layout's all right. I want DS games on my Switch just like that.
Actually, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Telling you, man,
First,
Contra
you could
4.
figure out a cartridge adapter for it.
Fuck a cartridge adapter, man. Just put it on the eShop, or release, or obviously it's on the eShop no matter what. But if you're feeling real froggy, you can put out some physical cartridges as well. Maybe bundle them together with some flip grips, some shit like that would be real easy. But yeah, like bring me Contra 4 and Sonic Rush and Metroid Prime Pinball. We can bring back fucking Mario Kart DS, because that Mario Kart DS was one of the best Mario Karts there ever fucking was. You know, there's some solid stuff we can bring. Honestly, I mean, granted, there's a handful of DS games you just could not do that way. Like 100% traced memory would not work. Brain Age, I don't think would work. So,
because of touch.
no, you
Or-
could totally
no.
do touch because the Switch is a touch screen.
And I think you could
I
just,
forgot the Switch was a touchscreen.
Yeah.
passive screen. Yep.
and you
So
can pretty
again-
much just like take your finger and slide it down for games that need you to like close it and then slide it back up. if you
Well,
need
like
to.
I said, trace memory is a real weird exception because one, it actually required the microphone, and two, one of the puzzles required that you actually like folded the system.
Right, that's why I said put your hand on top of it to slide it down like it's closing and then bring it back up.
Didn't work. No. You had to like fold it partially, and you were looking at the reflection of the top screen and the bottom screen, and the two together with the reflection, the two images together lined up to make a complete image to give you an answer.
Oh, they'll probably be able to find some way to do it. Who knows?
I don't know, but I feel like it would lose the magic of that.
I mean, Scourge High would be good to be play on there.
Fuck yeah, Scourge Hive. So many good DS games. We could have a re-release of all the Castlevania DS games again. Yes,
Oh
please.
God, come on! Don't
Uh,
tease me like that, Larry. Don't tease
I-
me like that.
I know they're so good.
They're so good, and like if you want to buy them today, they're expensive.
Are they really?
Yeah.
because
I have
they're
all of them, and
they're
I
worth-
still need
they're
an order
worth-
of Ecclesia.
they're worth pretty good money.
Huh.
Yeah, I've got Dawn of
Yeah.
Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin. I never.
I don't
picked
have
up
any of them,
Yeah.
and I've been looking. For the problem is where I live, it just blows to find secondhand stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll keep my eyes peeled. If I see something reasonable, I'll hit you up and let you know.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I've been itching, but of course, we're in the world we're in right now, and I've been itching to like do a vacation or a trip where I just come up somewhere and just start like retro game shopping
Right.
because I don't have any of that down here.
Yeah.
It just sucks because everybody's mother and grandmother that moves down here has already sold all their crap by the time they get here.
So, but yeah, that's what's been rolling around. Oh, shout out to another podcast, by the way, because like Zoe said, they're the reason I came across the Steven Universe game. But shout out to Indie Nations. They do a really well produced show
Yeah.
on a weekly basis too. So, they are very, very consistent in terms of like if you're looking for small digestible stuff, like they talk exclusively indies on Switch, and they break their show into what came out this week and what's the best of everything on sale this week. So it's a good way to bolster your library and or wish list. So, and I've come across a few things on there that had slipped by me as well that have been well worth. So I'll just throw that out there for them. But that's what I've been playing. So I think here's a perfectly good place for us to stop and take a break. Welcome to Hard Copy Hounds, powered by the World 1-1 Network and sponsored by Premium Edition Games and their upcoming Series 3 release, Cathedral. Let's get into the Hard Copy Hounds report. We're starting off this week with LimitedRunGames.com, where you can pre-order your copies of the following. Axiom Verge 2 for the Switch and PlayStation 4 with an open pre-order that goes live on October 1st and runs through October 31st, as well as the Axiom Verge 1 and 2 bundle for the Switch and PlayStation 4 with the same pre-order dates. Blood Rain Betrayal, Fresh Bites for the Switch and PlayStation 4 has an open pre-order through October 3rd. Demon's Tilt for the PlayStation 4 with a limited print of 5,000 copies available worldwide with pre-orders going live on October 1st. Eichenfeld for the Switch and PlayStation 4 is currently in an open pre-order through October 24th. One Step from Eden for the Switch and PS4 in an open pre-order till October 10th. And Quake for the Switch with an open pre-order through October 3rd. Rounding it out is Turok on the PlayStation 4 with an open pre-order through October 17th. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil for the PlayStation 4 in an open pre-order through October 17th. And Turok 2 Seeds of Evil bundle for the PS4 with an open pre-order through October 17th. Taking a look at LRG's distribution list, we've got Always Collection on the Switch and an open pre-order through October 17th. Gear Shifters on the Switch and PS4 with pre-orders going live on October 12th and running through November 14th. Going under for the Switch and PlayStation 4, Neon Abyss on the Switch, Riverbound for Switch and PS4 with an open pre-order running through October 10th. Shadows of Adam on the Switch and PlayStation 4, Strife Veteran Edition for the Switch in an open pre-order through October 17th. The Falconeer Warrior Edition on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Switch. The Town of Light on the PlayStation 4 with an open pre-order of 2,500 copies available worldwide. Hyperlight Drifter on the Switch is in hand and ready to ship. You can also order your copies of Harvest Moon One World for the Switch and PS4 in an open pre-order. Billion Road on the Switch. Holy Potatoes Compendium for the Switch. Regions of Ruin on Switch. Super Epic The Entertainment War on Switch and PlayStation 4. Arc of Alchemist for the Switch. Thea the Awakening for the Switch, Mercenary Kings on PS4, Where the Water Tastes Like Wine for PlayStation 4 and Switch, and finally Dragonstar Vernier on the Switch. Next on the list is SuperRareGames.com, where you can put in your orders for your copies of Deponia Collection, Ida, Last Day of June, Little Inferno, the Me Poo Me Collection, Monster Prom XXL, Old School Musical, Roki, Smoke and Sacrifice, Unrailed, and Yes Your Grace, all for the Switch. Moving down the line, we've got SpecialReserveGames.com, where you can put in your pre-order for Demon Throttle on the Switch with an open pre-order running through November 15th now. Piku Niku and Heave-Ho on the Switch, and coming soon, Loop Hero and Weird West. Coming up next, we've got our sponsor, Premium Edition Games, where you can still grab your copy of Pigeon Dev Games Collection for the Switch and keep your eyes peeled for the upcoming Series 3 release, Cathedral on the Switch. Looking next, we've got Strictly Limited Games in the spotlight with copies of A Magical High School Girl for the Switch, Asterix and Obelix, Slap Them All, Switch and PS4, Bubble Bobble for Friends, The Baron is Back for the Switch and PlayStation 4, Clockwork Aquario on PS4 and Switch, Coffee Talk for the PS4 only, Darius Extra version available for the Genesis and Master Drive, depending on your side of the pond, Last Labyrinth on the PS4, Lode Runner Legacy for the Switch and PS4, Mega Turrican Director's Cut for the Genesis and the Mega Drive, Necrosphere Deluxe on PS4, No Heroes Here for the PS4 as well, Pressure Overdrive on Switch and PS4, Rolling Gunner for the PlayStation 4 and Switch, Space Invaders Invisible Collection for the Switch, Speed Limit on Switch and PS4, Spelunker HD Deluxe for Switch and PS4, Super Turrican 1 and Super Turrican 2, both available on Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. The King's Bird for the PS4, Turrican Anthology Volume 1 and Turrican Anthology Volume 2, both available for Switch and PlayStation 4. And coming from Strictly Limited's partner store, Always Awakening on the NES in an open pre-order through October 17th. Connect Tank for Switch and PS4, Cotton Reboot on Switch and PS4, Crosscode for the PlayStation 4, Root Double on Switch, Star Renegades for both Switch and PS4, Umihara Kawase Bazooka on PlayStation 4 and Switch, Witchspring 3 Refined for the Switch, Wonder Boy, Asha and Monster World for PlayStation 4 and Switch, and Yeast Origins on Switch and PS4. Next, we've got I Am 8-Bit, where you can grab up your copies of the Annapurna Deluxe Edition, Disco Elysium, Final Cut Collector's Edition for Switch, PS5, and Xbox, Etherborn on Switch and PS4, Gone Home and Grindstone, both for the Switch, Inside on the PS4, Manifold Garden for Switch and PlayStation 5, Mega Man X on Super Nintendo, Mutazone for Switch and PS4, Ori Collector's Edition on the Switch is in an open pre-order as well, Res Infinite Eco Forward Edition on PS4, Spinch for the Switch, Spirit Fair with a pre-order running for Switch and PlayStation 4, The Pathless on PS5, Untitled Goose Game for Switch and PS4, and finally Wadham for the PlayStation 4. Come towards the end of the list, we've got SignatureEditionGames.com, where you can grab up your copies of 30-in-1 Game Collection for the Switch, Alex Kidd and Miracle World DX for Switch, PS4, PS5, and Xbox, Origami 2 for PS4 and PS5, Bomber Crew on the Switch and PlayStation 4, Bounty Battle for Switch, PS4, and Xbox, Brawl Out and Candle, both on the PlayStation 4, Children of Morta for Switch, PS4, Xbox, and PC, Cloudpunk for the Switch, Xbox, and the PC, Darkest Dungeon on PS4 only, Dead Cells for Switch and PlayStation 4, Dungeon of the Endless on PS4, For the King for Switch and PS4, and Frostpunk for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Hellpoint on Switch and PS4, Hero Defense on PS4 only, House Flipper for Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, Instant Sports Summer Games on the Switch, The Long Reach for PlayStation 4, Monster Harvest on PS4 and Switch, Moonlighter for PS4 exclusively, Northgard on Switch, PS4 and Xbox One, Riot Civil Unrest for PS4, Road 96 on Switch, currently in pre-order, Runbow for the Switch and PlayStation 4 available, Sparklight on Switch, PS4, and Xbox, Spirit of the North for Switch, PS4, and PS5, Stranded Sales for Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, Streets of Rage 4 for Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and the Streets of Rage 4 Anniversary Edition for Switch and PS4, Terraria for the PC only, Ultimate Chicken, Horse Anniversary Edition for the Switch, Unbox Newbie's Adventure for PS4, Valfaris and Vaporeon both for the Switch, and Yonder the Cloud Catcher Chronicles for Switch, PS4, and PS5. Dropping down with 2 to go, East Asia Soft, partnered with PlayAsia.com, is where you can grab your copies of Alchemic Joust, Black Sea Odyssey, and Bleed plus Bleed 2, as well as Caveman Warriors and Devious Dungeon, all for the PlayStation 4, Distraint Collection on Switch, Fall of Light Darkest Edition for the PS4, If My Heart Had Wings on Switch, Leap of Fate PS4, Love Esquire on the Switch, as well as Morio Crystal H, and Murder by Numbers, all for the Switch, Panty Party Perfect Body for the Switch, Rainbow Moon and Rye for the PS4, Seabed on Switch, Semispheres for PS4 and PS Vita, Smashing the Battle, Ghost Soul for the Switch and PS4, Tachyon Project on PS4 only, The Letter, a horror visual novel on Switch, Trigger Witch for Switch and PS5, on Epic, and Vesta, as well as X-Morph Defense, all for the PS4. And finally on the Hard Copy Hounds report this week, Fangamer.com, where you can get your copy of Bug Snacks for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, currently in an open pre-order, Later Alligator, Stardew Valley, both for the Switch, Hollow Knight on Switch and PS4, Undertale for Switch, PS4, and PC, Slime Rancher on PS4 and Xbox One, Spelunky for PS4 and PC, and last but not least, Hyperspace Outlaw for the Switch, currently in an open pre-order, coming from Fangamer.com. And that's the Hard Copy Hounds report, and as always, fuck the scalpers. And we're back with the third half of the show. This week, we're taking a deep dive into adventure games as a lost and or dying or dead genre of gaming. So we were conversing a little bit earlier today and mourning the loss of adventure games. And LeGrew, I think you're the one that kind of brought it up because you've been playing some of the medium, and apparently the medium's getting some hate. So fill in some details here.
Okay, so I've been playing the medium. It's on Game Pass. Yeah, I actually really like it. I'm about 2.5 hours in, and I'm at that point where I'm really enjoying it. You know, and a lot of the reviews, I've read some of the reviews, I've listened to some of the reviews on YouTube. A lot of the reviews stem from it's being like tank controls, and it's not. Oh, it's hard when the there's a fixed camera and the camera changes when you're moving, and that kind of thing. And it's like old school. It is definitely like an old school adventure game, like not like Thimbleweed Park, but like an old school like 3D adventure game, kind of like all the Sierra games were back in the day and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that because it's chill. It's a chill game to play. It's supposed to be this horror kind of game, but the medium, it's not that much horror to it. It's a very ambient game. You have some music, you kind of get you put your lights down in your game room and you put your TV on and you just kind of turn it on and play.
Maybe a little more suspense.
Yeah, I enjoy that. And there's a couple of jump scares here and there, but it's not like crazy. Because I'm not really one for horror games, but I see these people, they're always complaining about that. I'm like, well, sometimes, stuff can be, it could be a good 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 game. And you're just, for me, that's fine.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be this, set the world on fire type thing.
Right.
And I'm enjoying it. So that's where I'm at with it. But it's definitely a lost art because seeing how many people are complaining about it, I'm like, oh, okay.
I think more people are complaining about it on how it's kind of basic and it's kind of short.
Yeah, it's a double A game. It's definitely a double A game. It's not a triple A game, and I think for what it's trying to do, it does it very well. Which is just it whets your appetite for more, really. And I think it could have been better. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. There's a lot of things that could have improved upon, but for what they're trying to do, I think it's good.
I think double A games as a whole.
I think because it's on Game Pass, people are able to criticize it more. If it was like straight to $70 that people pay for it to get it, I think the criticism would have been a little bit less. But since they're not paid for it, they feel like they can say what they need to say.
That's a whole nother thing too. Like Game Pass with it's almost like the entitlement of people on Game Pass think that these games should just be like half of them think the game should just be, your mediocre game, and the other half think it should just be this like awesome AAA exclusive game. And from the way I look at it is like it's a Game Pass game. That's okay. I'm gonna play it. But if you want to buy it, it's a $50 game.
Well, for it to be like a current gen game now, like a Series X game, it should have been more. And if it was going to be like that, I mean, I think the premise is great.
Right. It needs fleshing out a little more.
Yeah, because I think everybody's just like the double screen thing is what sells the game, but that wears out throughout I think you don't get it a lot.
No, and that so far in my experience, you do not experience that as much as the developers were kind of letting you on to believe type of thing. So it was kind of like, oh, this was a new gameplay mechanic. It was supposed to be this dual world. You could just like go in and out, but you can't. It's only in certain areas that you can. So,
well, I know for some adventure games like Larry Suit Leisure, Leisure Suit Larry, sorry, Larry Suit Leisure. I mean, Leisure Suit Larry and games like that back from the 80s and 90s. Those kind of adventure games where you gotta say the right dialogue, or you gotta make sure this one item is logically fit to make this other item to make progress. That's what some adventure games people are thinking of. But adventure games kind of have changed in a sense. Now, Zelda, for some people, is an action adventure game because there's a lot of actions that you're doing for fighting. When you think of an adventure game, you're thinking of exploration, solving puzzles, making progression.
That's where I'm confused because you guys said adventure games originally, and I'm thinking like adventure platformer stuff. So I've never really played much of the point and click style stuff that you guys have been mentioning.
Right, because I'm kind of where Michael is with this, because when you guys said adventure game, I was thinking like Zelda, and I guess it falls more in like the action adventure because you're doing a lot of stuff.
Right.
But for me, it was still an adventure game. What am I trying to think of? I feel like Spyro is an adventure game, but like. Yeah, like things like that are adventure game, and I like Spyro, but like there's a lot of action in there, so I could see it being action adventure. I personally am not a huge fan of just adventure games. Like I think the biggest one I could think of is Minecraft, where you're just doing stuff, making things to like, accomplish this goal, and I can't. Games with too much free reign. I'm just like, no thanks.
Well. I know a lot of indie developers are doing adventure games. In the sense, adventure games have kind of become the stuff like Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain, and things like there, where you go to a certain thing, press a button, and they interact, and you are able to tell the story, but you could change it at any time. and stuff. Not Quantum Break, Quantic Dreams, is known for doing a lot of that stuff, Fahrenheit and stuff like there. So those have kind of become the adventure games of now. Now, like Tell Me Why and their other games, the Strangest one that Square Enix published, those would be considered as adventure games because you're exploring and you're finding things, and you're making decisions, and that could affect the game itself. I think when it's adventure games like that, there is a story to it, and you have to progress the story by kind of interacting with things and making decisions like that. So I mean, and I would say it's different than a walkie sim like what remains of Edith Finch and everybody goes to the rapture. That's different as an adventure game.
I think maybe the closest thing that modern gaming has to old school adventure games would probably honestly be like the Telltale stuff.
Yeah.
Life is Strange. Those are
Telltale, yeah.
Yeah, those are a fairly close approximation. I mean, they're definitely missing some of the puzzle element as they're more just narrative driven. Like there's not really much in the way of obstacle between you and progression.
Phoenix Wright. Oh.
Yeah, that's not a bad thought either. Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, Phoenix Wright is kind of like the modern take of a adventure game where you're solving these puzzles, but you're collecting evidence to solve them. And then when you get to the court case, you're using those items that you found to prove someone of lying or prove them that they're guilty.
So would like Obra Dinn count as an adventure game?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd probably throw it in there. I'd throw it in there as much as I'd throw The Witness in there, and
right.
I think it's close.
Now The Witness, like we used to have those games. It was the puzzle adventure.
Yeah, Myst, Journeyman, Neverhood.
Puzzles. I don't like
because you have to solve the puzzle in order to progress.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I did like Obra Dinn as far as adventure games go. Honestly, the only reason I stopped playing it was because I felt like it stretched out so far. Trying to make the connections was really, really hard. And, like, there'd be people's faces that were clear, but I'm like, I don't even know who this motherfucker is. Like, I don't have any sort of... I feel like you need a notepad of your own.
See, and that's
while you play that game.
So when I used to play old school adventure games in the 90s, and I had, a bunch of, I actually had a notepad, and I still do have it somewhere where I made maps, and I made like, you have to do this and that to get to this, because you had to remember that shit, and you couldn't. There was I remember like King's Quest series, for example. There was like King's Quest 5.
That game.
Yeah, there was King's Quest 5 was like. There was like a spot when you had to go through the desert and you had to go through different like oases and everything. And I actually had to map that out so I wouldn't die because you only could go like 4 screens at a time. It was very interesting, but that was a different time for sure.
Actually, as a matter of fact, sweetheart, if you want to take a crack at it, I do have Myst on the Switch on cartridge, so you could dink around with it just to kind of experience like old school PC point and click adventure. So it's here at the house if you want to screw with it.
Yeah. So. One of the funnest adventure games that I played was Hotel Dusk Room 213.
Ooh, yeah. There was a couple of good ones on the DS as well. We were just talking about Trace Memory.
Yeah,
would be another one in that category easily.
Ghost Trick was one.
Oh fuck! I forgot that existed.
Yeah, Ghost Trick was cool because it used a rotoscope as its graphics and everything. You had to kind of like rewind time and get things together and stuff like that to find out what's going on, like solving these mysteries and everything. It was a really cool game from Capcom.
Rotoscoping is gorgeous when it's done well.
Yeah, I think a lot of modern modern adventure games nowadays are kind of cool to play with. Seeing them graphically, understanding them more, seeing where the logic fits at, and being able to get through a lot of them and stuff. They don't really take long
No.
unless the game feels like it's long by not letting you skip cutscenes and talking and stuff like that.
Right.
No, that's one thing about the medium that I have actually noticed. You can skip any cutscene. When it's playing, you can just push a button and it gives you the option to skip. So if you are not into the story and you just want to play the game,
Yeah.
you can play that game pretty good and pretty fast too. Now, I kind of think you're missing the point of
Right.
that,
I was
that
gonna
type of game.
say.
You're missing the point of that type of game, but I also think that maybe it's for people that maybe have already played it and they just want to
Replay the gameplay. Yeah.
get to the game, and it's so far it's engrossing. It's not super great. It's good. It's solid, and I enjoy that.
Well, that and that option also makes it more conducive for people to start speed running it as well, because speed running puzzle adventure games is a thing too, just like anything else. Like I know a while back, somebody who sadly no longer streams on Twitch, one of the mods in her stream was actually real big on speed running The Witness. And I watched some of his stuff. It was really cool because you would see him figure out how far away he could snipe and successfully complete puzzles without having to actually walk all the way up to them, just by having it memorized.
That's awesome.
No, it was really cool. So
yeah.
So that's
I know,
that's a neat thing to watch.
Yeah, I know Maniac Mansion is a well-known adventure game.
Oh yeah. That's what Thimbleweed Park is based on, kind of.
Yeah.
If you played Maniac Mansion back in the day, Thimbleweed Park is very, very similar.
Thimbleweed Park's fucking hilarious too.
It is. It's a great game. It's an adventure game made by people that know what adventure games were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know what it shouldn't be as well. As a matter of fact,
and they play on it.
There is something in the instruction manual for Thimbleweed Park that is forever a treasure to me. And I'm gonna get this out so you can so I can share and you can hear. Let's see here. Let me fish this out. There we go. On the back of the manual for Thimbleweed Park, it says, let's see here. First, it gives you a few helpful hints. So, start by trying to switch between the characters, pick up everything you can. Odds are at some point, all those strange things will have some purpose, things like that. Right. But the best part on here, it says, our game design philosophy. We follow Gilbert's rules for making adventure games. End objectives need to be clear. Sub goals need to be obvious. Live and learn. No backwards puzzles. Allow players to go back to pick up items they need now. Puzzles should advance the story. Real time is bad drama. Incremental reward. No arbitrary puzzles. Reward player intent. Do not have unconnected events. And give the player options. That's their design philosophy in making Thimbleweed Park.
Yeah, so it takes
shows.
It takes an old school concept and makes it new.
Yeah. Well, and they fixed a lot of the nonsense that
you couldn't go back and you couldn't, because old school adventure games, you could not go back. If you miss something, guess what? You got to replay.
Well, that and old school adventure games also often applied very bizarre video game logic to something that made, would otherwise just the fuck? How?
Yeah.
So, Machinarium's another example of that. And while pretty and still fun, it does fall into that trap of requiring bizarre video game logic to figure out some of those puzzles. A lot of them, honestly. So
I just have an issue, or not really an issue, but just a problem for me playing adventure games because I feel like a lot of them are so abstract, and I'm just that person that I'm like, no, you gotta. Oh my god!
yeah, it's happening.
I know.
The best part is he keeps flitting in and out like a ghost.
Right.
Okay. Oh my god. That just happened.
Well, we are both an explicit and poly-positive podcast here.
Oh, I know. I'm just my train
I
of
didn't
thought
sign
just
up
went.
for that.
My train of thought just kind of went. What? Okay. What the fuck was I talking about?
Abstract.
Okay, there you go. It was too abstract, and like I just can't. As somebody with ADHD who has a hard time focusing, trying to get me to find abstracty like puzzles and shit, like. It's just really hard for me. I need something that's like, go over here and look for this thing. Oh my god, yeah. That sounds good to me. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys?
This is
That's
Noah.
awesome.
We
Hi,
love
guys.
Noah too.
Now, if you really want to impress me, show up in like Eddie's lab.
I love the two of them. Two of the like straightest dudes fucking ever, but they get closer every day, and I swear they're gonna run away from me and Tasha and elope. Like they are.
Anything's
They're
possible.
adorable.
There you go.
Does he have Gundams?
Transformers.
Oh, fuck it.
They're awesome. The bromance right there. Look at it. It's blossoming and it's beautiful.
Michael is local to the area as well. We love
Oh, yeah.
Michael. But yeah.
Well, yeah. What's up, guys? I'm Noah. Nice to meet all y'all.
But
Nice to meet
Zoe,
you, Noah.
but Zoe dear, on the subject of them being too abstract, you might want to take a shot at Thimbleweed Park. Actually, it's very
Okay.
story centric, and like you heard, their game philosophy is we try and stay away from the abstract, insane puzzles and have them make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very dialogue driven as well. So
Okay, I'll give it a whirl. Like, I'm not saying that they're like a genre that I just hate. Okay, like it's not like it's that. It's just like they're not my go-to. They're not
Right.
definitely not like my top genre to go to. Action adventure games are pretty dope in my opinion.
Mhm.
But the ones that just kind of like you're doing something, but you're not like doing something.
right.
Well, like I said, it's story progression. You know, it's heavily on the story.
Mhm.
And these puzzles just fit the story and stuff. You know, I think stuff like Phoenix Wright, you are doing a lot of stuff because there are other actions that you take in the game to make progression until you get to your court case. And stuff like that. So that's why I say like a lot of modern adventure games kind of changed it up. It's not the basic point and click anymore. That you just point something, click it, get the item, and then move it or go to a
Right.
different area and do it like there.
And that's why I think the medium too is it's a good progression. It's a good way for that genre to move forward a little bit, where people will, I think they'll appreciate it, but they'll also see it kind of like they might be annoyed by it a little bit because it's not just giving it all to you. You have to kind
Yeah.
of work for it a little bit, but it's rewarding in that way.
I think that's always been a big thing with adventure games as a whole too, is that you have to work for progress in them.
Yes.
They tend to be a lot less handholdy,
Right.
a lot less, and I'm sure I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings by using the term, and I'm not even talking about anyone here specifically, just somebody out there I'm sure is going to be upset that I'm using this term, but they're a lot less participation trophy-esque,
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
you don't get to win just because you fucking showed up.
Right.
So
You're right, though. I feel slightly offended. I'm like, hey, I put work into my games.
I've signed up for this already offended, so
Mhm.
I know you did. Pretty
that's-
much everything offends you, so I'm not terribly concerned about that.
But I'm also not super offended. I'm not like a huge like avid gamer either, so I feel like when I go to play a game, I want something that I can just like
You
play the
make
game,
progress.
do
Yeah.
like I just want to do the
Yeah.
thing. I think if I was more avid and like deeper into playing video games, I probably wouldn't mind something like that so much. But seeing as it's something that like I do every once in a while and like more spur of the moment, I'm like I just want to get in, play the game, and then like get out. Like I just want to do the thing.
Your insight into the casual mindset in this hobby.
Yeah.
So,
you didn't really play a lot of games before you met Larry, right?
I
And
did. I
That's
played a
me
lot of.
genuinely asking. I'm just not sure.
I played. Okay, so. But a quick little background on my video game history. I played a fuck ton as a kid. Like, I played on the SNES. I've played on the NES. I've played on original Xbox. And then when the 360 came out, I had a PS2. Like, I played games all the time. I have an older brother who he is an avid video game player. And that's how me and my brother connected. We played video games. I think one of our favorite things to do was do, like, the Hordes co-op for Gears of War. And, like, build the lasers and shit. As my brother would call it, he would throw murders at people and I would help him because he was that crazy ass motherfucker that's like, I'm going to take this assault rifle and just charge in. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking dumbass. He was always dying, but I was always the sniper in the back. So whenever he would respawn, he'd come back where I was and then be like, cool, I can get my shit together for a second and go back up. So as a kid, I had a whole lot. And then when I left my parents' house, adulting kicked me in the ass. And so my video game playing went, and until about a couple years ago, me and my ex started playing games pretty heavily. I played a lot of Paladins. That was like my go-to thing to play. Basically, Paladins is a free knockoff Overwatch. So I enjoyed playing that. We played zombies for Call of Duty. I just honestly haven't had the time to dig into games. If I'm being honest, like just adulting has me not doing that. And
Right.
really all I have the energy for by the time I come home is sitting and staring at a screen and like watching TV. So it's not that I don't like games or I was never into games. It was just like, it was weird because I feel like I took like this hiatus and then trying to come back in, I'm like, what the fuck with video games right now? Like, I'm like, I remember this, and I'm just like, so I'm having a hard time branching outside of my comfort zone, considering like where I was with games, then taking that break and then hopping back in with games. I'm just like, like the last Wii system I played. Like the last Wii system I played, or Nintendo system I played was the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to the Switch, I was like, ah. And I had an Xbox One, so like Xbox was about the only thing that I kept up with. And there's an Xbox One in the house, but there's only one controller, so we don't play it a whole hell of a lot.
Which didn't used to be an issue really, because prior to you moving in last year, I didn't really have anybody to play anything with, so the one controller was sufficient. And now we've been looking over the last couple months going, we could totally play this. Oh, fuck. We need another controller.
Also,
Right.
my problem is most of the games that I was even playing belong to my ex. So when I moved out, like my entire collection of shit, like, because it was either downloaded digitally onto the system or we bought together, and so I could only take the games that like I bought for me.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so like anything that I liked to play on the reg just went whew. So I basically once again had to start all over again. So when you guys who've like been able to keep up with everything as it went, I have like gaps. So I'm just like, I'm here and it feels like this big scary thing to just dive into, but I'm slowly integrating the more like Larry helps me find things, and I'm finding my way into what I like. And like I found the Broken Circle game all on my own, and I'm kind of happy about that one. And I really do like that game. But like, so I'm finding myself with who I am as a gamer. I do find like being with him, I am more into video games again. And so I'm kind of happy that they're back in my life, because growing up, they were something very near and dear to me. Like anytime I go see my brother, I try to play games with him because it's very nostalgic for me. So like I said, it's not that I don't like video games. It's just life took me away from them. And then coming back to them, my brain just goes, what the fuck? Like we jumped ahead so far. There's so many options now. So many genres. I don't even know where to start or what to do.
And I think part of it is too now is that gaming is more mainstream, and you can come and go to it. Like back in the day when you were playing these adventure games, you were already heavily invested into a PC, and you had the time, you know, and there wasn't many of these games coming out, and so it was like I would play these things for half a year or so. I mean, I remember my first King's Quest game was my dad got it on a work computer, and he happened to be able to. His boss said, "Yeah, just bring it home because it's productivity draining, so you just take it home." So that's how we got that first game. And once we got that, then we just got hooked into those, and there wasn't the internet. There wasn't that stuff around. There wasn't that base of gaming knowledge that there is now.
Well, I mean,
especially with streaming now too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I mean, adventure games for me started because when we got a Hewlett Packard, which wasn't the first family computer in the house, but it was the first Windows machine in the house.
Right.
It came with like a folder of
like
games and demos, and some of the ones that were in there was a demo for the Neverhood, and there was a full copy of the Journeyman Project Turbo.
Right.
Is Neverhood an adventure game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I honestly, when we watch some stuff with that, I would honestly love to play that game at some point. Like,
yeah, that's a point-and-click adventure puzzle game.
I feel like my grandma had. Okay, I'm not trying to like say anything to you about you guys. I'm honestly saying my grandma had them. I have that like one of the fucking coolest grandmas ever. She played fucking Doom on her PC. Okay, my grandma was a badass. She played Grand Theft Auto, and yeah, my grandma played PC games like fucking San Andreas and shit on her computer. I'm like, the fuck, grandma? So like that's not like a knock at you that I'm like, my grandma played these. No, I had a badass grandma. But like I feel like she had some of these like point and click type games, and like I genuinely enjoyed them when I was young. Like I said just now, and I feel like with just how society is now, it's so fast paced, and it's just everything, everywhere, all the time. Nothing slows down.
It's hard to go back.
So I feel like there was a time where like I enjoyed shit like that, and when it was a simpler time.
It was a simpler time, and we had less graphics.
Yeah.
Right. We had Mega Man and
4
Contra.
pixels, and we were happy.
That's right.
So I feel like just the way everything
4K,
is now, and just how games have evolved, it's just a lot now. Like gaming is its own like thing, and I feel like back in the day it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Oh, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually completely true. Like I'm kind of the same way in that like I don't play a lot. I don't care about a lot of the new shit that comes out. Like AAA games, I don't even pay attention. I don't give a shit. I play a lot of indie games because a lot of indie games are very retro. They're, much closer to what I grew up on.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of, as I said, I tend to stick with a lot of that. Unfortunately, the adventure titles, like, I've literally never played any of them. Like you guys haven't mentioned a single game I've played today in this conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I have not played a single one.
Whew.
I know Myst exists, and
Mhm.
I've heard you mention the Neverhood before. That's it.
Michael, I feel like for you, what you need to do is just watch a playthrough of the Neverhood.
I could
I-
see.
Yeah,
I think
As
It
just
was good.
consuming it visually, you will love it.
As I said,
If,
the closest to this kind of genre that I've played was on the original Nintendo, the first Shadowgate.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't played
Yeah.
anything like it since.
Fitness Right, the collection, the trilogy's
played any of
on Switch.
Yeah, never played any of them.
Yeah, if you want to try the Fitness Rights games, they're on Switch. Really good.
Well, 'cause,
They're,
like,
they're 3 full games.
The Professor Layton games, those would be along the same lines, right? My ex was really into that series.
Maybe kind of. I think those lean more strictly puzzle than
Okay.
adventure.
Yeah.
Because those are more very puzzle specific. Like you're there for the puzzles,
Right.
and the story just kind of happens as a result.
Okay.
Versus completing puzzles and figuring shit out being a driving mechanic of progression.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
Like it made sense in my head, but I wasn't sure if it was coming out in a way that made fucking sense.
English!
Do you speak it? Yeah.
Yeah, we heard Samuel L. Jackson say those lines today because we were watching Boondocks.
We
Oh,
were.
wow.
We were. God, we're going back through everything because, like, I remember watching Boondocks here and there, and so some of the episodes, like, I definitely like the whole A Pimp Named Slickback. Like, we watched that today. Like, there are certain key episodes that, like, if you were watching Boondocks at all, you just fucking knew. Like, just going back through, we watched one with Martin Luther King Jr. today, and I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
And that
Return of
just
the
made
King.
me sad because it's so true. Like, I'm a black person, and I'm gonna put that out there. And if there are any black people listening and you get offended, this is probably for you. But, like, honestly, sometimes I look at black people and I'm like, what the fuck, y'all? Like, we need to get our shit together. Like, I'm not saying there's not injustices working against us, but, like, hot damn, I also recognize that we got some shit in our own house we need to fix. But anywho, that is a totally different conversation for a totally different podcast. I felt like it just got real quiet, and I was just like,
What's it?
moving on.
I think we all said what we could say about Ventura games.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would close on this thought, though. I would say that if nothing else, it would be fascinating for somebody vastly more qualified than me to explore and document the history, change, and progression of adventure games as a genre.
Right.
I
I
think
think-
that would be
yeah.
absolutely fascinating because it's really changed so much from what it was to what it is that it's almost recognizable. It kind of approaches on the question of, you know, if you take a broom and you replace the handle and then 6 months later you replace the brush, is it still the same broom?
Right.
So, because I really feel like that's exactly what's happened to adventure games as a genre.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much they just evolved,
Mm-hmm.
and there's different kinds.
So
Mhm.
I almost think at this point there should be at least a footnote or like a subclassifier of present or modern adventure as opposed to classic adventure to distinguish what the fuck you're talking about. Not that it's super pertinent, but for the sake of sanity, because that's so broad spectrum now, you know,
That's fair.
Just a thought. I don't think it's as pertinent an issue as what we talked about a couple weeks ago with Metroidvanias and Microvanias, but it's something for consideration. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
but at that point, though, I think the big differential is that it's time that has really made the change in that genre versus the volume of games coming out in it now, as well as that genre being diluted as a result. But so I don't know, kind of the difference between a vertical slice and a horizontal slice on the subject.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, that sounds like a perfectly good place to wrap up, though. So I want to thank all my friends for coming and hanging out with me this week. Thank you to Eddie and Zoe and Josh and Michael and Tasha and Noah for coming and sitting in laps for a minute. Also, as you're hearing this, I'm assuming this will probably be up, and at least it fucking better be up by the time we're still doing this shit.
Yeah.
Weekdays, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern on... you should join us on our Twitter. That's World1_1 podcast on Twitter. We're running a feature called #CrackTheVault, where we're digging into old episodes from years ago and listening and live tweeting along. It's been kind of fun. We've had some folks, previous show guests, have kind of popped in as they get brought up in conversation and said hi. Fucking Cliffy B actually jumped in this past week and jumped in the Twitter with us on that for a hot minute. So you never know who's gonna fucking turn up. But yeah, that's a thing we're doing these days. So, something fun to do. It's a great way to, kind of get a glimpse at where we used to be versus where we are now. And, it's kind of fun to listen back and go, holy shit, we said that?
Yeah. Should I been
I
going
wish
back
my-
and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I was just saying, I'm going back and be like, man, we had some conversations that we
Oh, yeah,
had.
we did. I was definitely more of a cantankerous asshole than I am now. I've mellowed out a little bit, though most of my opinions have held the same. I'm just a slightly less asshole about it. Just a tiny bit less abrasive. But for the most part, though, I'm pleased to report that a lot of my viewpoints still fairly well hold up, especially because it was one that just came up in Crack the Vault a couple days ago. Was I still firmly believe that I have the correct answer for revamping the review system for the video gaming industry as a whole. So suck
The
it.
money thing.
You're damn right. It's a better solution. So, like, at this point, the only thing that could genuinely complicate that is Game Pass. And even then, I don't think that really presents much of an issue. So, meh. I firmly believe my solution has stood the test of time. So there you have it.
I wish my job allowed me to follow while you're doing that, but being a teacher, I can't really sit at my phone and catch, what you're doing while you're doing it. I really wish that I could, but because sometimes I have
going in later.
Well, yeah, I do that, and I look back, but I have listened to some of the old shows. It's kind of funny going back and just listening to some of the stuff you guys have talked about is very interesting, and if anything, gives me an insight into like some of the stuff you guys have talked about, what you guys kind of do as a collective as I work my way back into putting games back into my life.
So it's been fun to go back and listen to. God, Eddie,
Yeah.
remember when we didn't even know the Switch was going to be a thing? Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh God, when we were happy with the like 3 games a year we got on our Wii U.
Exactly. But
We got
enjoyed-
3 games a year and we were fucking grateful.
And the thing about this, those 3 games were up for like Game of the Year nominations.
Uh-huh. So, back when we used to talk about the game that we don't talk about anymore. So, but anyways, let's wrap this shit show up, and we'll be back next week. So, everybody, say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night,
everybody.
Gracie.
Good night.
And we'll see you next time on World 1-1 podcast. Bye, everybody.
Peace.